Live 95.1 presents Youth on the Rise. Youth on the Rise. A radio show by the youth for the youth. Join your hosts Craige, Hardel and Tanya Elias as we shed light on pertinent topics at the cornerstone of our lives and our nation. Tune in to hear our guests every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. as we impart knowledge and guidance to our listeners. Don't forget, every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. on Live 95.1 FM. Youth on the Rise.
Good evening, listeners from Hardel, St.Lucia, and online. Welcome to another episode of Youth on the Rise. I am your host, Craige, Hardel, and this evening we are going to touch on a very important and interesting topic. Now, I begin with this quote: "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast stone across the water to create many ripples." And that is by Mother Teresa. Listeners, this evening, the topic for this segment is leadership. And here we are looking at the 10 main qualities of a good leader. We have leaders all around us. We entrust many people to dictate or guide the directions our lives going. Many people who have influence over us and have a big say as to what goes on and how things around affect us. They have the power to effect change, really. And we are going to be looking at the qualities that these people should have. And as much as I say this, it is not only those people we look to lead the country, for example, war leaders. We all are. And whether you're a parent, whether you're an older brother, older sister, whether you're president of an organization, whether you're an employer, whether you're a business person, you are a leader. And you need to be accountable. You are accountable for the people who depend on you for their influence, for their guidance, for your guidance. And you really need to make sure that you play a role as well as possible. Now, number one, to begin, the very first quality is that of courage. Courage. People, and again I repeat, whether you're a parent, lead an organization, political party, whichever it is, whichever walk of life or facet of society on which your influence or purview falls, you need courage. And you need the courage to take risks sometimes. You need the courage to make bold decisions, people. And we all are faced with uncertainty, and every other day we have even more uncertainty. You're not sure what's coming next, and even if you have an idea, you're not sure how it's gonna go. But you need the courage to make and take certain decisions, certain choices that will impact others. That is in the best interest of your organization, whether it's your organization, your children, wherever your authority lies. You need the courage to make decisions, people. And that is something that is sadly lacking. Yes, we have to be careful. Yes, we have to double check, make sure the decisions are right. But we shouldn't be moving back and forth too much. We have to be a bit more decisive. All right, that's a strong point here. We have to be a lot more decisive. Also, when you look at courage, also you need to be able to, as much as you make good decisions and sometimes good things come from it, and even when people do not make good decisions and people around you do not so good things, you need the courage to deliver bad news sometimes. You need the courage to say things how it is. Sometimes that is very necessary. And in order to ensure that things go the way that they should, you need the courage to set things straight when it's necessary. Alright? You really need the courage to do so. Also, you need the courage to face your critics, people. People will always criticize. Whether you're a parent, you're an employer, there will be always a person, a group who do not like you, first of all, and who do not like the way that you do things. However, the measuring stick you should hold yourself to is how effective you are. And it's not to say that you should ignore other people's thoughts, but you should not be letting them dictate your actions. And again, it's not to say that someone cannot offer a suggestion and you accept and you integrate that into your operations. Yes, we all offer suggestions to one another. But a lot of times people criticize you, not constructively, but they do it to bring you down. And those listening, you need to really consider that. Yes, we all have good intentions. We all want good for ourselves, our children, our companies, our parties, our groups. But there are some people who just try to drag you down sometimes. And it may be a vendetta, it may be something personal, but you should not let that deter you. You should have the courage to move on, to keep pushing. Again, it's a thin line because you do not ignore input from whether it's your subordinates or those around you. But at the same time, you need to be able to discern whether the criticism, whether the input is constructive or not so constructive. That is very, very necessary. Okay? So that is one of the main areas in which you need to really improve your courage as a leader. Secondly, and listeners, I'll do this a little early this evening. Anyone who's listening and wants to add on to this discussion or contribute, the number to call us is 714-5574. 714-5574. You can also message on WhatsApp as well. And again, listeners, it's important that you air your views as well. Yes, I am disseminating lots of information, lots of good information, and I am always commended, and I appreciate that very much. However, it's important that you contribute as well, and you contribute to the discussion. You contribute to whatever input that is being disseminated. Okay, that is very, very important. I may not have all the answers. None of us have all the answers, but we all can help one another. Okay, so I'm putting that out there. Secondly, a good leader has to be visionary. A good leader has to be visionary. In other words, they have to have a sense of direction for whether it's a company, whether it's an organization. Okay, they need to have a sense of direction. They need to know, have a firm and concrete idea, a vision as to where the organization is headed. Okay, where the party is headed. Again, that's political example. Okay, how you want your kids to grow up. what kind of man you want your boy to grow up to, what kind of woman you want your girl to grow up to be. You need to have that in your head. Okay? Because who are you leading? If you have no vision, where are you leading them to? Okay? Who are you helping them become? If that is not clear, your entire purpose is not clear. And within an organization, again, I am flying from many contexts here, but within an organization, that is very important. Again, normally before members get elected, persons on an executive, they normally have to give a blueprint for growth. What are they going to do? What are they going to implement? Again, when politicians go up for office, whether it's for the parliamentary seat in our system down here, or whether it's for the party, for example, in the first past the post system, political system, they have to give a good mandate as to what they're going to do when they get in office, when they assume power. And that is important because those people, the people, need a vision, and they need a strong vision. And that really shows, demonstrates the making of a good leader. Someone who can not just have a good vision, but someone who can communicate that vision in a compelling and a convincing manner. You have to be able to convince whoever's following you of that vision. Okay? You have to be sure of it as well. A lot of people, yes, they say they want to do X, they want to do Y. They're going to do X, they're going to do Y. But they are more uncertain that whether that can be done. Okay? You have to have some conviction, people. If you have no conviction in your direction, if you have no conviction where you want to lead an organization, a group, they won't follow you. You will have very little influence. Alright? And in addition, let me put that out there. A lot of people think that being a leader is bossing people around and, making them aware of your role and you above them all the time. But real leaders, that's not the way it works, people. Good leaders lead by example, but by influence as well. And not necessarily because of their status. And they think they're in some bubble that no one can even see or touch them. They lead by example and by influence. It's through a strong vision, exemplary attitudes, actions. That is where the influence is created. Okay? That is where the influence is created. That is very, very important, people. Those leading, you have to be exemplary. Right? You have to be exemplary. Not just you, but to others. People have to be able to see that you are an example that is worthy of being followed. Right? A lot of us want to lead, but we do not. Our lives are not a reflection of what we're trying to take people to, where we're trying to take people to. Alright? So that is extremely important, people. And we really should not ignore that. Parents, we love to suggest things to children, but we not do half of those things. And it may be that we did not do half of those things, but at least we want better for our children. That's understood. But the kicker here is you do not project something onto your child, for example, that is almost unattainable. Okay, so a lot of parents have a perfect standard for their children, but when they were younger, they were very, very far from that. Okay, in other words, be realistic in your vision. Be realistic in what you project. Of course, people are human, especially children. They make mistakes. Whether it's in an organization, sometimes people make mistakes, and we'll touch on that a little later. But you have to be realistic in your vision as well. Thirdly, Number 3, a good leader has to have discipline. A good leader has to have discipline. And discipline here involves you need to do what needs to be done. Again, you need to be performing your role to the letter. You need to be doing what you have to do, the essentials of your position. You need to be making sure that is done. Okay? Your work ethic, whether you complete what you set out to, what is expected of you, that should not be questioned. That should never be questioned. Okay? That should never be in question. And sometimes you hear people coming to work late, bosses coming to work late, barely doing anything. Okay? Or barely doing much work themselves, and they just boss people around and just see to it. Yes, people need to be supervised, that is their work as well, but where you can contribute, you contribute. Okay? And your members, your employees need to see that you are just as committed as they are, and you are putting in the work as they are, and you are playing your role just as well and even better than they are. You are showing them what you actually want them to emulate, to aspire to. Okay? So that is extremely important, listeners. And I am sure we have listeners of many different facets of life right now, many different positions, many different leadership positions, and I'm speaking to you as well. You need to make sure you are exemplary in your amount of work that you put in. Alright? You need to make sure that you are exemplary. Again, the other quality of a good leader is dependability. Dependability. Listeners, leaders need to ensure that those whom they lead, those who are subordinates to them, in the case of an employer, supervisor, that they have what they need. Okay, they have what they need and they are fully equipped to carry out the tasks given out to them. They are fully equipped to complete whatever is in front of them, whatever they have to do. And also they are fully equipped to perform their duties. That is the responsibility of a leader in an organization, supervisor, in the home, a parent. Yeah. Too many parents neglect giving their children school supplies. And I'm not even talking about books. Because sometimes we know that, we understand that sometimes books are not available and the money's not there to buy the books. But sometimes basic school necessities, children go to school, they don't have them. And yes, sometimes things are tight, things are even that tight, but a lot of times they're not. Okay, sometimes children come to school and they don't have basic stationery. It filters all the way down there, people. Alright? And children not having stationery, I mean, they're not ready for class, whether it's pens, paper, whatever it is, right? And they need to, parents need to make sure that they make sure that the children have those things. All right, it plays a big difference, people. It makes a huge difference. Now, the other thing, the other facet of being dependable is that you need to show up. All right. In other words, you need to make your presence known and felt. You need to be around. Okay? You need to be around leaders. Of course, some dependability has to come on the part of those who you supervise, those who work under you, your subordinates, but it's an organization. They should be able to fulfill their roles as well, and that's understandable. That's known, that's established. But you should always show up. In other words, you should be around. All right, and we are going to touch on accessibility in a bit, but you need to be around. Okay, you shouldn't be skipping work just because you have the flexibility to set schedules. It happens, It happens. Of course, I will not mention specifics, but you will be surprised where it happens. Okay, and you should be making sure that everybody do what they assigned to do, and they do it well. Okay. Also, you need to be accessible so that you can be communicated with. Of course, day to day, many small problems come up, and your input is needed, or something's encountered, and the workers cannot do it on their own, or they have a decision to make and they need to consult you, or they cannot do it without your permission. And you need to be around people. You need to be around. Parents, you need to be around. You need to be accessible. If an emergency at school happens, school should have your number, right? As insignificant as that may seem to some, that is very important. It's important also because in the event of an emergency, contacting you, making sure that a child's medical information is known, making sure you have your permission to take a particular course of action that would save the child's life, whether it's administered drug is granted, that could be the difference between life and death. And yes, we love to push those suggestions aside. We love to push those words aside, ignore it. But we do that until it happens to us, or it happens to somebody close to us. And people, precaution is always better. Okay? Parents, in particular, you need to make yourself accessible. Alright? You need to make yourself accessible, parents. School should be able to reach you. Alright? And not just in school, but also in the event of a very serious emergency. Say you're at work, or you're not at work, sorry, and you need to be contacted immediately. Okay? Especially for an employer as well. You have to make sure at least you can be reached. Yes, we all have our private lives. Of course. We all know. We all have our private lives. We all have time for ourselves, our family. But you never know the call you can get. Alright? You never know the call that you can get. Think of it this way. And this example parallels sort of a analogy. Think of the lotto. We all keep playing the lotto. We all keep taking chances, right? Buying a little ticket, whether it's $2, whether it's $5, whether it's $10. I'm not sure of all the prices. However, the event of us winning, probability could be extremely low, probably 1 in 1,000, 1 in 100,000, depending on the competition, 1 in a million, who knows? But that probability could be equally low for you getting a call that something is wrong with your child. You're getting a call that a building is on fire and they need your key for it. You're getting a call that somebody's dying and they need you to transport them to the hospital. You're getting a call that your spouse is missing. Yes, the probability can be equally as low as well. The chance of that happening can be equally as low. But isn't it just as important? Why do we play the lottery so often? Alright? We don't want to be a millionaire, we want to win. What are the jackpots around here? Couple $100,000, whether it's $1,000, whether it's 10,000. We all want to win something big. We want to make some money quickly. And whether it's a fair bet or not, I mean, people win. People win. So I guess it's fair. However, as much as we anticipate something would go right, we need to anticipate also that something can go wrong. Right? Something can go wrong. A lot of the wrong things that happen in life, a lot of the bad things that happen, they are actually preventable. We did not prepare for these occurrences. And this example is a perfect one. Right? Especially for parents. Again, something could happen to a child and a teacher or the ambulance is there and certain medication needs to be administered to that child. And they need your permission. Okay, maybe the child's medical history is not known. Probably they need some information from you. Maybe the child may be too young to see the drugs that they've taken or say what is wrong with them. I mean, you never know. And a minute there has value because you never know how severe the child's medical condition actually is. So something that simple, people, needs to be done. Right? A school should be able to reach you. If you have a child attending, they're a guardian, whoever is responsible for the child, you should be reachable. The school should have your number. Alright? It doesn't take much, doesn't cost anything. Make sure that you are reachable, people. Okay? It's better to make sure we do not lose than to always be pushing to win in vain. We need to be conserving what we have. People alive is important. And yes, I know this sounds like some pitch insurance, some people might say. But we need to make sure that our lives are secure. Because as much as we project right things to good things rather, good fortune to come upon us one day. Alright? There could be a time where we lose it all. Right? Someone's house burns down, fire, vehicle, brand new vehicle gets damaged immediately. Gets damaged and is almost irreparable. And you lose it all. Or your house catches on fire and you lose it all. We need to make sure that we are guarded against such chances. Another one is someone getting terminally ill and not having the money to, either travel to another country for treatment or to treat that condition or access treatment on island. Or whatever country that you are in right now when you are listening. Alright? We love to prepare for the good times, but we do not prepare for the bad times. Right? And in that light, listeners, a lot of things that happen to us, a lot of bad things that take place are preventable. Because we could actually be doing a little more. We should actually be protecting ourselves against such occurrences, against such events happening to us, against such misfortune. Very, very important, listeners. Next, a leader should be Committed. So next quality here for those writing down is commitment. A leader should be committed to the cause of an organization, to helping whoever they're helping, to advancing the cause of whatever group that they represent. There should not be conflict of interest. Alright? You should be fully committed to the cause. Because it's very easy for subordinates, for these parents, for children, for members to notice when a leader is half-heartedly doing something or half-heartedly committed to a cause. Alright? Trust me, they can tell very, very quickly. And because of the influence of your position, their actions, their attitudes, it will mirror. Alright? And they will sense that very quickly, and they will change the way that they perform their roles. Okay? It will have an impact upon them, and subsequently and ultimately have an impact upon whether it's the group, how effective it is, the organization, the business, the child's performance. Alright? It will have an impact. So the conduct of the leader, how committed he or she is to the cause of their group, the organization, the development of a child, if the child's adopted, especially in such a situation, an orphan as well, a foster parent, how committed they are to really helping that child grow and being there for that child. Trust me, they can tell. Alright? They can tell. So, again, listeners, commitment is a very important thing. It is similar to commitment as a leader. It is similar to commitment to making a particular relationship work. Alright? We all like to speak of people being committed to each other, people standing by each other for tough times. But how committed you are to your child's development, how committed you are to your organization's growth, that is very pertinent as well. And trust me, that shows very quickly how committed you are to your actual party, whether it's political, whether it's any organization, probably religious as well. I haven't mentioned that example yet. But your commitment shows people. Your commitment really, really shows. It's important that the leader really are doing what they really want to do. In other words, they are where they want to be. They're committed to the position, to the role, to the advancement of the cause that they are and the organization is advancing, pursuing as a team. It's very important, people. Very, very important. Next, the next attribute, the next quality of a good leader, a very good and strong leader, is that of focus. People in our lives, where's the life of a parent, where's the life of a child, where's the life of an organization, an NGO, change happens. A lot of things go wrong, a lot of things go right. We have cycles. Things go right, things go wrong. And you will have varying circumstances. You may have varying fortunes. You may have varying events. However, the important thing is that the leader, the team, the organization, the child, never loses focus of the goal. What they are aspiring to, what they're trying to develop, what they're trying to become. They never lose sight of that. And the role of the leader here really comes in when he or she notices that the members are losing focus. They don't really believe in the cause as much as they once did, as much as they should, and as much as they need to. Alright? And that's where the leader has to steer the ship, correct the wrong path, and really guide the group, whether it's with times of difficulty, whether it is times of a lot of distraction, a lot of change, and really make sure everybody is focused on doing what they are supposed to do. Right? That is very important, people. And in our lives, again, children, especially children, they go astray and they form bad habits, they meet bad people, bad company, negative influences, and we have to make sure we always help them focus. We always steer them back in the right direction, and we always provide that guidance, that straightening that they need. And again, it may be in the form of discipline. Sometimes it may be in the form of, for example, in an organization, pulling up an employee and letting them know their faults, outlining their faults to them, right? Let them know what you've noticed, whether they're doing it consciously or unconsciously. It could be a simple correction. Okay? It could be a deep-seated issue that you don't know, and you may have to get it out of them. Alright? Things come up all the time. One day, something may be going well, the rapport is good, teamwork, team spirit, everything is up and high. And the next, everyone is down, downtrodden. Everyone is moving slowly. There is no life in the group, and you need to always know why. Okay, you need to always know why. Your hand should always be, your fingers should always be on that pulse. You should know what's wrong. If you don't know, find out immediately. It could be that as a leader in an organization you're not liked. It could be that something that you're doing is not liked by your members. It could be that they're losing focus, they're not believing as much, that you may need to inspire them. It could be many things. And a leader has to be mentally prepared for that happening. A leader has to be mentally prepared for that. And of course, there are times where the leader is doing things that they should change, or some changes should be made that haven't been made yet, and some things have been communicated to you. And yes, rightfully, you make the change. But a lot of times, it is due to internal matters, internal things that haven't been resolved, internal factions that are developing that need to be resolved immediately. That is affecting the efficiency of the organization, the group. Alright? A lot of times it could be that. Of course, leaders should also manage conflict within the points of focus. Of course, remember we're going through the 10 qualities of a good leader. 10 qualities that, whether you're a business person, whether you're a parent, even whether you're an older sibling, okay, you should exhibit, you should take on, and you should display. Alright? So again, within focus, a leader should also be able to make sure that resources are not being squandered. Make sure that resources are being put to good use. There is little or no wastage. And a lot of employees like to do that. A lot of people, well, let's put it this way: people naturally do as much as they should do. You rarely find people who go above and beyond their roles. So in other words, a lot of people are naturally lazy, and you're not just lazy in how much they put in; they're lazy in their effort to really conserve resources and make sure they are as efficient with its use as they should be. Whether it's money, whether it's actual assets, okay, whether it's a vehicle. Sometimes you say, for example, allocated $100 for fuel for the vehicle, and unknowingly, some members are actually doing personal business on it, and not much activity was done, but they wasted, say, $40. And yes, you allocated $100, and a less activity took place, and you should have saved. Let's say you use 60, right? You should have saved 40, but you end up saving none. And that is an example of wastage. Many other areas that can come in: paper, all right, ink, like the schools, money. Okay, so listeners, whether it's resources at home, okay, whether it's water, whether it's electricity, we need to make sure that there is little or no wastage. We need to make sure that we waste as little as possible, because it all compounds in the end. It all shows on the balance sheet. It all shows on the amount of money that the family has. Okay, the expenses. It will show. And we need to make sure that whether you're head of a household, whether you're the head of a business organization, that there's little or no wastage. And you should not tolerate it either. You should not tolerate it. Leaders should not tolerate people wasting time. And one problem, especially in Ireland, a lot of places, the employees are actually not very productive. In other words, yes, they're working and they are on site, they are present during their work hours, but they waste a lot of time. They waste a lot of time. In other words, either they're checking social media or they're checking their email, not doing what they're supposed to do, or doing as much as they can do. You get that? A lot of them are not doing what they're supposed to do, or they're not doing as much as they can do with the hours that they have. They're not doing as much as they can do. And yes, a worker has 8 hours and they use that 8 hours, but a lot of them actually wasted more than one. And that may be even more. Sometimes they waste even more. Okay? If you check the amount of time, say, someone spends checking email at work, especially people who work on there is a computer and there is internet, oh, they waste a lot of time. And say they're at a desk and barely any clients come in, they waste time, where they could actually be doing something else, something contributing to the company. Okay? So we have to get rid of all these inefficiencies within our workplaces, within our businesses, within our organizations. Trust me, performance will improve. The output of the organization will improve manyfold. It will improve for sure. And it is these things that really put us back, because we're not as productive. We don't perform at the high levels that we are actually supposed to. And we have to make sure that that is rooted out. And as a country, especially, we are as productive as we can be. whether it's public sector employers too, or whether it's private sector employees and business owners. All right, productivity, people, efficient use of resources is necessary and very, very important. A leader has to make sure that that is done. Okay. The next quality, people, is that of resilience. And again, I mentioned before, the leader has to believe and stick to the cause that they're advancing. They have to be committed. But resilience is really preparing for a lot of external shocks, a lot of change. Again, look at 2008 financial crisis, and that closed down a lot of businesses in overseas, especially in the US, and even down here as well, St. Lucia. Yeah, a lot of businesses felt the crunch, they felt the pinch. Tourism felt the pinch too, because a lot of foreigners, they didn't have the money to come down. Alright? The jobs were not there, the businesses were not there. They didn't have all that money to take vacation. Alright? So many sectors locally suffered as well. And within the context of a business, the organization needs to be able to adjust to such change. Yes, we are vulnerable, especially on island. We are vulnerable to many external shocks, and well, because we do not produce a lot on our own, our import bill is very high, especially food and agriculture. As our prices go up and down, so much they fluctuate. Also, tourism, heavily dependent on external countries, what goes on there. But we need to make sure that we are flexible enough. Our businesses are flexible enough to at least stay in business. And that is a very, very important point there. So we need to make sure that we have the capacity to withstand changes, whether it's in the market, whether it's in staff, right? Whether it's in your suppliers, whether it's in events that go on. Again, sometimes, yes, operations are going as normal, but many changes are actually happening inside of the organization, and that has to be managed. You need to make sure that is managed properly. Okay, so a lot of times people transition in either promotion, either being promoted, either being fired, either being hired. So there's a lot of change that always goes on. So the leader has to be the manager of all that change. Okay, and on a more subsistence level, sometimes parents, household heads, sometimes your source of income goes away. Your main source, your primary source, that is. And you have to do something else. Children have to be fed. They have to go to school. You have to feed yourself. You have to keep making an income. And sometimes pocket dips. Alright, pocket dips. And we have to prepare for that. We have to be able to adapt to changes. Sometimes you get retrenched. Alright? A lot of factory workers, a lot of people who work a lot of manual labor jobs. Of course, I'm not putting such people down, but sometimes your job gets automated or taken away from you. I mean, things happen. Even those who work white collar jobs, sometimes they let go of you. Sometimes you're not needed. I mean, it happens. And you have to adapt. That's why it's always important that someone has a second skill that is marketable, that they can get income from. Because believe it or not, whether you like it or not, people, these changes happen. These changes happen, and we need to be prepared for it. All right, especially when you have people depending on us or we are supporting people. We really need to make sure that we are prepared for such changes. Not just say that we're prepared for it, but what are we doing? What else can we do? We have another means of income. Let's say our job went away right now. Do we have another means of income? Hmm? If the job went away, and do we have a certain amount of money available that at least the loan can still get paid, or at least 6 months of earnings that you could actually live while you job hunt for at least 6 months? A year is even more preferable. But again, not everybody is in that financial position. But are we prepared to adapt when bad things really happen to us, especially in a financial sense? Okay, again, an organization going back to there. Again, you may have to adjust, retrench, well, cut staff, right? Do you have the initiative? Do you have the resilience to actually keep the business afloat? Okay, can you move fast enough? See what to cut out. See what isn't productive. What is it? What isn't selling anymore? Make the change. Stop selling it. Okay, cut the expenses of the company down, so at least the business stays afloat. Okay, competition is rife. Competition is rampant. Even if you don't get laid off, sometimes just by the virtue of another business coming up, more competition for your business, you will get less profits, you will get less revenue, and changes happen. Business gonna stay afloat, staff gonna get paid. I mean, it happens all the time. It happens every day. So we really have to be prepared for that. All right, really need to be prepared for such. Now, next we have patience, and we are coming to the final two. And this is number 9 right there for those taking it down. And I did speak on this, but I want to anticipate misfortune. Not just misfortune as it pertains to the operations of a business, trends that are ongoing, fluctuations in the market, in demand, right? We should not just anticipate change and misfortune in that regard, but changing people as well, because people change. For example, if you're in a partnership, and I'm speaking to really business people out there, partner is not as committed as they used to be, and you may have to either split the partnership, start a venture on your own, or really start fresh, or knowing when it's time to just dissolve the business. You have to know. Because sometimes, if you wait too long, you have nothing. It happens. We all say the world's not fair. We know it's true. Although the world is fair in many ways, that many more ways than you think. But there are sometimes that you really just know when to pull. You have to know when to pull the plug. And a good leader knows. Similarly, let us say if you're at sea, right? You know sometimes a lot of fishermen get lost, and say the engine stops working and the boat goes adrift by the current or on its own, and survival there, right? When you're many miles on water, you cannot shout to anybody, all right? So you really need to make sure that you exercise some patience there, and that you at least try to manage yourself. Um, Also, you have to make sure that you cater for people who change. I mean, sometimes people get disloyal. Um, People do bad things to you. People try to hurt you. People try to bring your organization down. Um, I mean, people will betray you sometimes, and you really have to make sure that you prepared for that. Because trust me, sometimes, especially when you have friends, right? It doesn't have to be business, especially when you have friends. Sometimes at the worst time, when you least expect it, someone can do something bad to you. And trust me, it'll hurt you bad. It'll hurt you because you trusted him for a lot, and they had a lot of power to hurt you. And they did. And they did exercise it to the full. And sometimes these bad things happen, and it really chokes us up. And we have to be prepared for those things. So people, we have to make sure that we are prepared for such change. That part is tough, trust me. Very, very tough. But we have to make sure we're prepared for the flaws, the eventualities that can happen. When people change, sometimes people are not loyal as committed as it should be. It's happened to me. It's happened, but we have to be prepared to take that, to accept that, and to move on from it. Finally, again, wrapping up here, the last quality is that of teamwork. Um, of course, different kinds of businesses are run different ways, but there are times that leaders need to be on the ground working as well. And as, of course, earlier I mentioned that you need to show your members that you are committed, you are doing as much as they are, and they are not actually doing the majority of the work more than you are while sit around as if you're on vacation. But there are times you should be on the ground working with them because that's what is best at the moment. And a good leader doesn't necessarily just dictate from the top and just hand on orders, commands, but they make sure that they get done, even if they have to help do it themselves. In other words, they're more concerned about getting things done rather than just ordering people around to do certain things. Okay, so that is very, very important, people. Also, you need to make sure that you really hold everybody accountable. You hold everybody accountable and you make sure they do their part. And why would you hold them accountable? Because you are there with them. So when you are doing better than them, just as well as they are, they can see you working alongside them and you will shine now. You'll lead by example. All right? Again, parents also make sure that sometimes you read with the children, participate in some activities with them, you bond with them. At least you come down to their level. We know you have so much influence, so much power, but you come down to their level when you need to, and you really show them that you are there with them. All right, so that is very necessary. Sometimes, especially people who have offices and they have certain jobs, and they should, when they should actually supervise children or go around and really check on everybody. Yes, we need to make sure that everybody do their work well. But some of us act as if we have no heart, we have no human element to us. Nothing wrong with a informal gesture, right? At least show that people have a human side. And people, sometimes, a lot of people, they don't like you just because of that. As much as you have the authority and you exercise the authority and do what you have to do, a lot of people are very cold and they need to soften up sometimes. There's a time for everything. As much as there's a time to make sure that the organization, the entity goes as far as it should and people do what they need to, you need to make sure, show people that you're human as well. Show people that you are there too. And you are trying just as much as they are. And they are human too, and they are special. Alright? So that was the final quality. Teamwork. Again, let me go over the qualities. Number 1, courage. For those who tune in late, qualities of a good leader. 10 essential principles that everyone should try to work on. Every leader should try to improve. Courage, number 1. Again, leader should become a visionary. So vision. Dependability. 3. Discipline. I'm going out of order. Commitment, resilience, focus, patience, and teamwork. So these are the 10 people. So make sure that you examine yourself, examine your lives, examine your running of your business, and see how much you can improve these. Again, remember, it's not only business people, it could be parents, it could be siblings, whatever span of influence that you have. Make sure that you do it well. Because trust me, when you least expect it, somebody's looking up to you. Somebody's looking up to you, somebody's depending on you. Okay? Again, listeners, that is the end of my segment. Again, this evening, we're speaking about leadership and the qualities of a good leader. I hope that you take these on, you learn from them. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Check out our Facebook page, Youth on the Rise. Show some love. Give us a like. Share our page. More people need to see it. And don't be afraid to comment. Right? On the issues, add your voice, people. Add your voice. My words are not made in stone. Whoever comes on, all right, participate in the discussion. All right. Okay, listeners, I'd like to thank you for listening. Again, we're available on YouTube as well. Again, our segments come up. So please stay tuned for next week's show. Again, every Monday at 8 after the DBS news. Thanks for listening, everybody. Good evening and goodbye.